And again, it's not just racism, it's socialism too. You know, back in the 1930s, after the crash, socialism, I can understand how people got sucked into socialism. They were told, first of all, that the crash was caused by unfettered capitalism. That wasn't true. It was caused by the government's poor handling of the monetary system. That's what it was really caused by. It was not caused by just unfettered, rich people. But it's easy to hate the rich when things go wrong. When you're poor, it's easy to hate the rich. But they cling to it. And these ideas, Bernie Sanders is like a throwback. The guy reminds me of some like 1930s radical. In 1988, I mean, here's an amazing thing. In 1988, Bernie Sanders went to the USSR and came back to tell people, how great it is. Okay. Now just remember, think of that date for a minute. 1988. Here he is.
I think it's also fair to point out that when we were in Moscow, for example, I think most of the people here also were extremely impressed by their public transportation system. The stations themselves were absolutely beautiful, including many works of art, chandeliers that were beautiful. It was a very, very effective system. Also, I was impressed by the youth programs that they have, their palaces of culture for the young people, a whole variety of programs for young people, and cultural programs which go far beyond what we do in this country. We went to a theater in Yaroslavl, which was absolutely beautiful, had 3 separate stages where cultural programs are put on by professional actors and actresses, including a puppeteer area. And the cost, the highest price of the ticket that you can get was the equivalent of $1.50.
This is 1988. This is 3 years before the Soviet Union collapses in poverty and disarray. Mike Doran tweeted that out. My pal Mike Doran from the think tank Hoover Institute, I think. He tweeted out saying he was there in 1988 and the place was falling apart. But Sanders is clinging to this. He talks about Cuba and how wonderful Castro is. Now it's the Cubans who are running Venezuela now. When you look at what's happening in Venezuela, Maduro is the front man, but the thugs who are keeping him in power and the thugs who helped him get to power and secure power are all from Havana. They are all the Cubans. It's the Castro regime spreading the communism from Cuba. And you see what it's done. You see that the people are hungry. They're starving, they're rioting, Maduro is shooting at them. Bernie Sanders still cannot call this guy a tyrant. He still will not call him a tyrant. He still will not support the Juan Guaido, the also leftist opposition candidate who has the approval of the government, who Trump is supporting. He's still back there. He's still in those 1930s. It doesn't matter. Russia fell. He came back and said, oh, the Soviet Union is great. 3 years later, it collapsed. When the Soviet Union collapsed, I thought, gee, Reagan was right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should change my mind. And I began to change my mind. Not Bernie, and not the left. And now they're sitting around, they're cranking because Trump is calling them a socialist. And they say, oh, that's the old Republican thing. They're calling us socialists. Well, guess what? That's what they are. There was a wonderful video of the Sunrise Movement, which is this radical environmental movement trying to intimidate politicians into accepting the Green New Deal, which is just socialism. It's government moving into corporations, telling us all how we have to live. And they went into Dianne Feinstein, who's like 80 at this point, who's got enough trouble. They send in children, and the children demand the Green New Deal. And Dianne Feinstein told them to pound sand. Listen.
Are trying to ask you to vote yes on the Green New Deal.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We have our own Green New Deal.
Some scientists have said that we have 12 years to turn this around.
Well, it's not going to get turned around in 10 years. What we can do,
Senator, if this doesn't get turned around in 10 years, you're looking at the faces of the people who are going to be living with these consequences.
The government is supposed to be for the people and by the people and all
you know
for
what's
the people.
interesting about this group is I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. You come in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway. I don't respond to that. I've gotten elected. I just ran. I was elected by almost 1 million vote plurality. And I know what I'm doing. So, maybe people should listen a little bit.
So that didn't work, even on Dianne Feinstein, a fairly left-wing senator. So they sent in another kid.
You give me $1 to put in my bank.
I'll give you $1 to put in your bank. If you'll sing me a song.
Give me the dollar first.
You're more than 5. Go and get out of here.
You wouldn't even sing for the buck. I mean, come on. So that didn't work. So finally they sent in the most whiny, most ill-educated, most empty-headed child they could find. This is cut number 5.
Our planet is going to face disaster if we don't turn this ship around. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. You know, is it okay to still have children? And I mean, not just financially, because people are graduating with $20, $30, $100,000 worth of student loan debt, and so they can't even afford to have kids in a house, but also just this basic moral question, like, what do we do? And even if you don't have kids, there are still children here in the world, and we have a moral obligation to them, to leave a better world for them. And this idea that if we just, you know, I've been working on this for X amount of years, it's like not good enough.
You know, so you shouldn't have children, you know, and we really, if we're all going to die unless we go socialist. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing thing that because she doesn't know anything, because she knows no history, because she knows no economics, because she knows nothing about American values or the Constitution, she is stuck. She is stuck back there with Bernie Sanders, her mentor and friend. She is stuck with him back in the 1930s. The only people talking about going forward are conservatives, not all of them, but some of them. And they're talking about it because they have better values. I mean, these are the values of envy, the values of like relying on others to change things. This is what always gets me about things like reparations. It's like you're not supposed to take yourself in hand and do your best. You're supposed to wait for white people to help you. That's basically what they want. I mean, those are bad values. Materialism, measuring your life by how much money you've got, those are bad values. And certainly racism, which is intersectional. Is just racism with a smiley face. Those are all bad values. I mean, those are things we've moved beyond, all of us except the left. And that's why all the movies are about old things, because they're stuck in that world where some of the stuff kind of made sense or seemed to make sense before it was all debunked.